All right, in the video today, we're going to go over how to break down your seats. These are the seats from a 1977 MGB. We're doing a chrome bumper conversion of Nigel, the 1977 MGB. And the seats are a bit worn, a little bit worse for wear. You know, these are vinyl, and vinyl tends to shrink in the sun and overwear. It can break in the seams and things like that. So there's a lot of places where getting in and out of the car, they get worn. This is the driver's seat. And so you can see the different wear places. And so we're going to replace this, the vinyl covering here. And the other thing is you need to look at the mechanism and getting the mechanism working and making sure that everything is lubricated and ready. Got to mitigate rust anywhere down here where there's rust and whatnot. So we're going to tear this down into its constituent components. And you can see here I've already done one of the seats. This one over here. You can see some of the things that you need to look at. Just like anything else when you're doing the restoration project, you need to inspect for wear and breakage. In this case, we have one of the under straps is broken right here. Would normally connect over here. But here's a saving grace. None of the cushions on this side are damaged. They all seem like they're in good shape and intact. So we won't have to replace the cushions, just the vinyl. And you can see a bunch of the other components in here. We've already painted the slides here so they look well on the carpet. I'll go back and clean up the areas that actually have contact or slides so that the paint doesn't get on those. And we're going to go over how the mechanism works and how to lubricate that and how to mitigate any kind of rust that you have on the frame. And so that's the goal of the video today, is to take this to this, and then part two we'll follow on when we get our new seat covers, and we'll cover how to install new seat covers on your now torn down MGB seat frames. So let's get started. All right, so before we get started, I want to go over some quick little things here. First of all, I want to introduce you to the Ziploc method. When you'll see over here, there's a Ziploc. That Ziploc over there has all of the parts and components and screws and everything that came off of that seat frame. And this Ziploc is going to have the same thing for this one. And the idea, when you're doing these car restorations, you'll find that, and when you work from one little project to the next, if you keep the screws organized, put the nuts back on the bolts, and put them into a Ziploc and organize them, you can even, if you're into it, you can write on it what's in that bag. But the idea is that as things come off, you're going to want to reuse some of the fasteners if they're special fasteners, or identify what sizes of fasteners that you need when you go to the hardware store to buy new ones. If you're like me, replace all the old ones with stainless steel so they don't ever rust again. So that's the Ziploc method. So as things come off of the seat here, you'll see me put it in a Ziploc. The other thing I want to talk about is, see this paper here? I want to give props to Moss Motors and all the other parts distributors that use recyclable material, because this is me recycling the packing material that came in some parts that we received recently. They're really helpful when you have, instead of bubble wrap or some kind of plastic stuff that you really can't use again. With the paper, you can use it for all kinds of things, whether it's painting the car. When I had to paint the engine block, there was, I used a lot of this paper for that. And so there's a lot of opportunities to put this paper back into good use. And so, props to those distributors that use recyclable materials. I think it's a great idea. So some of the things that you're going to see on this as I start taking it apart, so that you can be ready for it, is a lot of the things on here are connected with clips. See, like there's a little clip right here. There are some little clips right here. And so The thing about clips is they're spring loaded, and so what we're going to end up doing is prying them up and then pulling them, twisting them. And so these are the tools that I use for that. First of all, a nice small standard flat head screwdriver. I know it's not a chisel, it's not specifically made for this, but you'll find that just being able to put something in and then give it a little bit of a twist is enough to get something bigger up underneath there so that you can pry it. I also use, this is just a piece of metal that came from another project that I've fashioned into a little lever that I use for sliding up underneath things when I need to get stuff. It's thin, it's very resilient, and it's really easy to get stuff in. This right here is a proper nail puller, and it's very helpful. It has a nice little arc on the back here, so you can get some lever on stuff when you're pulling things apart. And lastly, the old trust and true needle nose pliers. You can always grab onto something with this. Once you get a crack or something pried up a little bit, you can get the tip of the needle nose pliers in there and just grab that thing and give it a twist. All right, so let's get started. I'm pulling this thing apart. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull these little clips off the back. These two clips hold the front side of the seat cushion, and then this part here gets kind of just stuffed up in there. And then we're going to pull these clips out back here. All right, let's get started with that. First of all, I want to apologize for my pants and the tears in my pants. I maintain that all the fashion, somewhere I was walking around in a hardware store with my torn garage pants, and a fashion designer saw me and decided that it needed to be all the rave. So you can blame me for everyone wearing torn pants. So let's get up underneath here. We're going to pull this thing up, get it to give up its hold a little bit, and then I'm going to just kind of grab it with some pliers and convince it away. See if you can get the material to let go. There we go. And then that falls away. Into the Ziploc with you. All right, again, just kind of get up underneath where you can get it. Get it to lift a little. And some pliers. Get that to let go of the material. And that comes down. Okay, that'll get this part. This is the front part here. That'll get that to release once you start moving things around. So that'll come away real easy. Now the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna pull these little babies off. Again, a little flat screwdriver. Try to catch a corner. Whoops. Not to overstress them. I don't want them to lose their spring because we're going to reuse these. There you go. You can see how that one came away. All you need to do is, if I can get it back. So you can see all we need to do is get them to these little hooky parts. They're grabbing onto the material, and so then it gets pushed up in here. So that once you push it back the other direction, you just need to get it to give up that little hold that it has into the Ziploc. See, just get it to loosen up. What I'm doing here is I'm grabbing the edge of this corner piece, getting one behind it and one in front of it, and then just pushing down. Okay, and you should be able just to grab a hold of that material. It's just kind of tucked up in there. Oh yeah, we got some rat trap in there. Somebody was taking residence. Twing! Sorry about that. All right, so we got the clips off the bottom rail, we got the clips off the back rail. The only other thing that we need to do here to get this top edge off is to remove the screw here and to remove this handle. There's also another screw on the other side here. Jeez Louise. Okay. Now earlier I was talking about replacing screws. You can see how this is just a standard metal screw. When we replace these, we're going to put stainless steel screws in here so that we don't have to worry about rust ever again.
It's missing. It's missing. Just pull it.
Usually there's a screw right in here, but it's not in there right. So I'm just going to convince this away by giving it a fulcrum. Here it comes. Now, normally you can see there would be a screw in there, but that's been taken out. So that kind of lends itself to that. So I wrangled this thing out from the back bar here. This thing here is free and clear. You see I've got both the screws off either end, and I've got the lever off right there. So what we're going to do next is we're going to lift it up and we're going to coax it past the centerpiece right here. Now there is kind of a piece of cardboard in there that we're going to negotiate in a second, but I'll show you that in a minute. So let's go ahead and start working this upwards. When you're moving this material, you want to be very careful not to damage any of the cushion, because we're going to try to recycle that cushion. You don't want to have to buy a new cushion. It's just like putting a sock on, or taking a sock off for that matter. You just have to make sure that we get all the places where it's going to snag. I'm going to pull this from the bottom through the front. Now it's over here on the front. And the only other obstacle we're going to have is this little place where the lever was. So just need to get up in there, move to that point. And it should give you a wrinkle where you can just pull it up and pass, just like that. All right. The advantage that you have going for you is that this cushion it's soft, so you can push it in and pull something past it. All right, see how we're progressing? All right, just like a sock. And look at all that nasty vinyl, that's all coming off. Okay, so I got it bunched up here. And what we're going to do next is we're going to take this headrest off. The method for that is basically we need to get this piece of cardboard come away. But what you're going to find is it's got some contact cement on it. Lightly with your thumb, you can roll that cushion and break the seal from that contact cement. And it'll come free. You see that? I'm just trying to break the cement and not the cushion. And you can roll that between your fingers and the cushion will give up its hold. If you haven't guessed already, when we put these back together, we're going to use some more contact cement. If you don't have that in your stores, make sure that you make yourself ready for that. Okay, so I think this cardboard should just come free now. look, we have a little visitor. This is a little wasp's nest. Wouldn't that be nice to have sitting on the back of your seat? Always love having critters in my car. Looks like somebody has decided that they wanted a little back support. They've already been in here and they've put a piece of wood in here to make it a little bit more firm. This is not standard installation. Let's take this off. Here we go. Alright, so this headrest has a little clip that is normally hung with a spring right here. You can barely see the spring on this one. But sometimes you'll see that there'll be a little clip right here, and you can compress that clip with a pair of channel locks or pliers, and that clip will allow it to slide out. In this case, that clip's not engaged, so we can just coax it just by wiggling back and forth. So you can see the clip right there. In this case, it's been bent back and it's been removed once before, so you don't have to worry about it in this case. So that's a slam dunk. All right, and so here you have it. Now let's take a good critical look at this cushion. This entry point over on this side, where you get in and out of the car, you can see this is beat up quite a bit. But I don't think that this is going to be a deal breaker for this cushion. I think that we may be able to get this to work. What you're going to find is a lot of this stuff is put in with contact cement. So you just need to give it a little wiggle and it should be able to come free, because that cement doesn't last forever. Okay, a little bit of rust holding that on. There we go. So we'll evaluate this a little bit and see if there's some way that we can either patch this up or if we have to replace it. But you know, there certainly is plenty of material left there. We might be able just to get away with you know, putting some patch in there. And we'll have to go over that in the next video on how to rebuild these things. So let's set this aside. Okay, so first looks. Aside from the customization job and the eviction of the wasp's nests, you can see there's a lot of deterioration here. Although it has topical rust, you can see that it was once painted, and that paint has protected it pretty much to the point where it's at right now. I don't see any rust that is going to damage the structure, so I think it sounds pretty sound. I think we're going to be okay with mitigating this rust with some phosphoric acid, and we'll be able to get this painted back again and have it back on the road. Some tape. And anytime you see shredded paper, that means that a mouse or something has been living in there. So had a little eviction. All right, let's get to the bottom seat. Okay, so I flipped it over. You see, we've got a 7/16 box wrench here. On the bottom, you'll see a row of nuts. And on the top here, I've got a large Phillips screwdriver. These are really large screws. Don't try to loosen this with a standard Phillips. Just a kind of a pro tip. I don't know if you can see, there's so much more of the screw head to engage with. So if you use the right size tip, you will not strip these screws out. See, I'm filling the entire hole and getting all those teeth to bite. And so I'm gonna go ahead and take these off, and we'll speed up the video real quick here. All right, on this last one down here, you can see there's a little extra spacer. It's a longer bolt, and there's an extra spacer here that keeps the seat from sliding too far. It's kind of like a brake mechanism, so you don't pull the seat off the rails when you're moving it forward. So okay, let's pull this one off, and then we'll get to taking off some of these other things. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna pull these little clips off. Same exercise, you can see they have a little tooth right here. You just need to get that to let go of the cloth. There are 16 of these going around the bottom of the seat. You don't want to damage any of them. So I'm going to get started on that, and we'll zoom the video forward so you don't have to labor through watching me do all 16 of those. All right, so now that this is loose, you should be able to just pull these over, and that will come right off. Alrighty, there is a little bit of a quandary. I think what this is a butt detector. It feels like a switch, which is kind of weird. It's a butt detector so that the seatbelt alarm can go off. It's only on the driver's side. Inside here you can see there's some more contact cement that's glued the material to the cushion. The cushion itself has a couple of layers to it. There's a vinyl layer, there's a light cushion, and then there's a cloth. And then that is glued in two strips along the bottom here. So when you see, if it feels like it's stuck, it is because it's stuck. It's glued on there. So when you're dealing with the glue, you want to protect the cushion as best you can. You just want to coax the glue away. Don't pull on it real quick, because you'll end up buying a new cushion. There we go. See, I'm just kind of just coaxing it away, tearing it apart without losing the cushion. Again, there's a pad in the vinyl, so that's what you see here. This is the vinyl pad. The cloth between that and the cushion is having a problem there, but I'll clean that up after the fact. There you go. Alright, just going to pull that glue off. Alright, this cushion is it's a high-use cushion. This is the driver's seat, so I mean you can see getting in and out of the car, this side right here would have been really beat up, but it's doing okay. I don't think we're going to have a problem with this cushion at all. This butt detector is kind of an oddball thing. I don't think I'm going to plug it in. I know anytime that you sit down to put the key in the ignition, you're going to be driving the car. I don't know why you need a butt detector. You're not going to drive the car from the passenger seat. But okay, there you go. Those are the cushions removed. Now we have to look at the mechanism and the mesh. So let's take a walk through on this mechanism here and the things that need to be done. Okay, with the cushion off, now we can continue our inspection of the mechanism and how the seat's supposed to work. This right here is a mesh that is connected with a kind of a wire frame that gives it some flexibility. Over time, these strap pieces have become very fatigued. I don't know if you can see this center one here. It's not torn. I mean, it's still connected, but if I was sitting on this, it would go all the way to this is the floor. I mean, that's where it's bolted in. That would go all the way to the floor. So, I mean, there is a rail, but I still think that it's not supposed to be that floppy. So we're gonna look and see. In the second video that we do in this series, we're gonna come up with a solution for this. So make sure you subscribe to get notified when I come up with that solution. But in this case, you can see this one here is broken. It's torn all together. So this is going to have to be resolved. Whether we buy a new one or if I find a less expensive, more effective way to replace those, make sure that you check out that next video as we go over how to fix the mesh. So the next thing you're looking at on here, you see a lot of rust. See how rusty all that is? The rust is not structural. It's still sound. I mean, if you take a screwdriver and you tap, it still makes a tinging noise. If it made a thud, then you would know that you were going all the way through and that material needs to be replaced, or that this frame would have to be replaced as a whole. Because I mean, it's all welded. It's a lot of components all bolt together. So what we're going to do is we're going to treat all this rust with phosphoric acid. I use this concrete metal prep stuff. This is it's basically just phosphoric acid. It's it's intended to be used for helping preparing metal before paint or concrete before you paint it. It creates an etching. So you can see how rusty this is right here. Well, here's one that's already been done. And you can see how the rust turns into kind of a black residue, and that is iron phosphate. It's no longer iron oxide, it's iron phosphate. And iron phosphate, I keep talking about this in all my videos and I get sick and tired of me talking about it. Iron phosphate is inert. It no longer needs oxygen and it will no longer rust. So that's the trick with that. I'm going to go over real quick the mechanism here, how that works. So I'm going to take these off and we'll show you how that works. Okay, so as we prepare this to be painted and preserved so we can reassemble it, there's some considerations to the mechanism that I want to go over real quick. So this lever right here activates the reclining mechanism in the chair, allows the back of the chair to recline. And the way that works is this little slide is like a cam. And when you push on it, it activates this pin to elevate. You can see how this whole portion of the seat goes up, and it disengages this gear mechanism down here. It's not a complete gear, but it's got teeth. And when it goes up, it disconnects right here. And when you do that, then the chair can slide back and forth freely, and you can recline it. And when you let go, it re-engages those teeth. See how that works? So when you've taken it apart, if that mechanism isn't working, you can see the places where you might have some rust are any place that would impede the sliding of this piece against that tooth. See how this piece right here slides? Anything that would impede that, you want to also look up here at this cam mechanism, and if it doesn't move freely, you might have some rust in there, right? So after you've painted it, first of all, don't paint in any of these places where the mechanism works. And after you've painted, make sure you put a liberal amount of white lithium grease in there. White lithium grease is kind of like WD-40, but it's thick, so it stays around, and it'll allow you to lubricate that, and it'll protect it from rust in the future. The thing about this whole mechanism is it's all completely covered in either cushion or leather or upholstery, whatever it is that you have on there, and you won't have the opportunity to lubricate that or break it free should it ever be broken back up again or frozen back up again in the future. So make sure you put a liberal amount of white lithium grease in there when you reassemble it. Okay, so there you have it. This is the breakdown and eval of the seats and the seat frames on a 1977 MGB Roadster. You see, here we go. Now, in this video, just to review what we went over, we tore down the seats. We were able to get the vinyl off and recover the cushions. We treated all of the rust on the frame and painted it. We got some rust prevention on there by putting a fresh coat of paint on there. For the moving parts, we've managed to get all of them freed up and everything is working the way it's supposed to work. The reclining mechanism reclines. Well, it's spring-loaded, but it does what it's supposed to do. And you can see how all that works right in here. We got some white lithium grease in there. The mechanism over here that allows the front of the seat to go back, to go forward so you can get in the back. And that's all been lubed up and cleaned up. The purpose of this video is to show you how to break it down without destroying it, and to help you to evaluate the components that need to be repaired. In this case, we found that the undermesh had some torn components, and we're going to replace those in the next video. We'll go over how to replace these mesh pieces with some repurposed cargo strapping. This is just a regular nylon cargo strap. So I'll show you how to reweave the webbing for under the seat using cargo strapping. The driver's side cushion was a little bit damaged because getting in and out of the car for years and years, it kind of got beat up. So one of the things we're going to demonstrate in the next video will be how to use some high density foam to reconstruct this part of the cushion without having to replace it. Now, if you wanted to replace one of these, they're $75. So that's a little pricey. The seats are even more expensive, the bottom cushion. So hopefully this will help you make that decision on what it would take to repair cushions that have lost their muster, their mustard. Anyway, so if you like this video, please comment, subscribe to get more information when the next videos come out. We'll follow up on how to maintain these components. And so if you'd like to be notified when that next video comes out, make sure that you subscribe and share this video with your friends, because it always helps to have more people commenting and contributing to restoring these classic cars. Thanks much. See you next week.